So this is going to be a different kind of video. Normally, I show you benchmarks and then I go over my thoughts on if you should buy the GPU or not and do some comparables. But I'm going to be honest with you. After running the Cyberpunk and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 benchmarks, I was so mad that I couldn't get myself to continue, and honestly my mind just started ranting, and I went over to my computer and I started typing the script. So in this video, I'm going to go over my results for Cyberpunk 77 and Call of Duty, because you should see them. It's not completely a waste. And then I'm just going to go on a rant why this might be the worst GPU that I have ever tested. So, as I do for all my test videos, here's the test bench that I'm currently using to test my games on. It's got a 3900X for the CPU, 16 gigs of 3200 gigahertz RAM, an X570 Hero motherboard, an 850 watt EVGA Gold power supply, and then it just has 500 gig SSD for putting video games and benchmarking software, and then a 250 for the operating system, and I am running it on Windows 10. So basic caveat, I don't show you the benchmarks, I just show you the settings I used and the FPS that I get. And you can see here I just did a baseline, I turned DLSS off and I ran it on high settings to see what I get. 93, 94 FPS, nothing spectacular for a 1080p card. Now I try to put on DLSS, see what kind of performance improvement I get. And I get about 120 FPS at quality settings. So next we're going to move it to ultra performance, which will theoretically give me more performance. And it doesn't really, which is weird. Basically the same, so there's no reason to do that. Now let's move on where I'm going to actually try ray tracing, and I'm going to put DLSS on because, you know, this is a ray tracing card, so we should see what it can do. It's 2023 after all, and it's not like I'm testing the 2060 Super on ray tracing. Well, or am I? Is the question we're going to be asking ourselves in a minute. I just want to show you guys all the settings again, and let's run the benchmark. And we get a 35 frames per second. I'm not going to talk smack on that because that's what I play Cyberpunk on my 4090, but with everything maxed out in 4K, I feel like that is enough to play at single player games. But are you really spending $400 to get 34 FPS on ray tracing in 1080p? So then let's go to the next setting we're going to do. We're going to up this to 1440p and we're going to see what it can do. I'm going to run it with DLSS and everything off. I just want to get a baseline to see how good it can get. And we got 60 frames per second. It's 2023, so that's not really that impressive. I mean, it's stable, but not, you know, you're paying $400 for it. I think you'll see that's a common theme in this video. We're going to put DLSS on and see what we get. And we're going to get 85 FPS. 87 FPS, I'm sorry. You know, nothing impressive. It honestly, it feels like I'm testing a 2070 Super or a 5700 XT that can do ray tracing, whereas those couldn't. Very underwhelming. Let's move to Call of Duty. Moving on to Call of Duty, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1080p with DLSS off. I want to get a baseline to see what the 4060 Ti can actually do. I have all the settings on balanced to basically best utilize the GPU. I got 160 FPS. It's pretty good, but it's also double the price of any other GPU, and it's priced. Honestly, that's it. I can't do any more testing on this thing. It feels like I'm testing a mid-range $130 to $200 GPU, like a better 5700 XT or a 2070 to 2070 Super. You know, GPUs that came out in 2020. Honestly, the 2080 Super had better numbers than this, and you can see my video. I'll link it down below. And it's going for between $200 to $250 on the used market right now. So to reinforce this point, let's go over the price at $400 USD. The 4060 Ti is more expensive than. Newegg has a 6700 XTs for even less, from $279 if you want to buy refurb to $330 if you want to buy new. And I'm a big proponent of used GPUs, as you know if you've been following my channel. But in this case, I would go for new because, you know, it's like $50 and you get a warranty. And this thing goes blow for blow with the 3070, which blows the 4060 Ti out of the water. Now the 3060 Ti from Newegg, which is overpriced, but yet again, it somehow outperforms the 4060 Ti. You can see here, it is still cheaper than the 4060 Ti. You can get a 3060 Ti on Zotac for brand new. Now, Zotac 30 series are awful, but I'm just going to show you that you can buy better GPUs for new for cheaper than the 4060 Ti. And speaking of Zotac, you can actually get a 2080 Ti for $300 from their site, a refurb from their site, which goes blow for blow with a 3070 and actually has better specs than a 3070. Now, if you're okay with buying used, this is where it gets really, really ugly. If you are good on eBay and you know where to look, and I'm talking eBay, I'm not even talking Reddit or any other sites that I would say are not as well known. You can buy a 3080, the flagship of last generation, for the same price as the 4060 Ti, and that's all I have to say about that. Honestly, there's not much else to say. The 4060 Ti is an outdated, overpriced piece of e-waste that should have been launched at $200 to $250. Then I think it would be a different story, and we would be talking about how there is a budget GPU that can rival any used GPU on the market and is great for mid-range, entry-level gaming. But no, it's $400, and there's no reason that it trades blows with the graphics card from the previous generation, the 3060 Ti. Frankly, it should be trading blows with a 3070 Ti at this price point, but it doesn't. Don't buy it. If you must buy new, get a 6700 XT from Newegg, or you could get a 6750 from AMD Direct. Since if you're buying a 4060 Ti, you honestly don't care about ray tracing, and if you're open-minded about buying used GPUs, go get yourself a 3080 and enjoy games at 1440 and 4K the way they were meant to be played. 2020 called Nvidia, and they want their GPU back. Stop trying to market this to a segment of the market that doesn't need it. We don't need any more 1080p GPUs. There are plenty of them on the used market that can be had for better prices, and we don't need to be buying new GPUs for 1080p gaming. Let me rephrase that. GPUs that can only be used for 1080p gaming in 2023. It's time to start pushing the 1440p resolution and try to make GPUs cheaper and more efficient for that resolution. Now, if you must have a 4060 Ti for whatever reason, I would wait until they drop in price to $200 to $250, because I honestly think they will. I don't have any sales figures or any information on it, but it just feels like there's no way people are actually buying them at this price point. And by the time they drop to $200, $250, I honestly feel that the 3060 Ti will most likely become more expensive than the 4060 Ti, because it does better in mining and it's not a piece of junk like the 4060 Ti. Anyway, guys, I know this wasn't my typical gaming video, but I just had to put this out there. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really, really helps me. I do a lot of GPU content as well as crypto mining content. And I do a lot of used GPU and budget GPU hunting, so I can show you guys what kind of GPU you should buy at what price point. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please don't buy this GPU. Recruitman out.